Welcome to the Traitors, a Traitors podcast. My name's Matthew, and I'm a writer, reality competition TV fanatic, and a 100% faithful. Promise. The Traitors is a deep dive into each episode of the game show like no other, The Traitors. This season of the podcast is centred on The Traitors UK, now streaming on BBC iPlayer and Peacock. Coming up, I'll be deep diving into episode 4 of The Traitors UK alongside a wonderful co-host. First though, it's time for TT News. Well, it's official. Although we suspected as much, the BBC have now confirmed that Series 2 of The Traitors UK is full steam ahead. The first series has now had 34 million views on BBC iPlayer alone, and is the biggest new entertainment launch for the BBC in 2 years. They released a video online featuring host Claudia Winkleman inviting applications for the series and asking us if we could spot a liar and betray those around us. I already reported that applications seemed to be open on the Studio Lambert website a few episodes back, but the logo on the page has now changed, so perhaps it's worth checking out again and applying for that next series. The Traitors US reunion special is now streaming on Peacock. Various stars from the show, including Alan Cumming and the streaming service themselves, have been posting teaser clips over the past couple of days. In them, we see Kate being grilled about her opinions of Rachel, Suri defending her treacherous actions, and contestants being asked if they managed to figure out how to spell the name Geraldine. I'll be watching very soon and recording a special Traitors US reunion podcast episode where I'll be joined by contestant Angelica Conti to get some behind the scenes chat. Send me your questions for Angelica ASAP and I'll put them to her. It's now time for a deep dive into episode 4 of The Traitors UK, which has been dubbed The Red Breakfast by the social media sphere. To help me with this extra special deep dive, I have a fantastic returning co-host. Let's meet them. My co-host today is Sanjay Lago, who is an extra special guest because way back in deepest, darkest January, he was the guest on the very first episode of The Traitors when I didn't really know what I was doing. Sanjay is an actor, writer, comedian, facilitator, and lovely human being. He is a graduate of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, where he was awarded the Principal's Award for Excellence for School of Drama 2019, and is currently a National Theatre of Scotland and John Mather Trust Rising Star recipient. Sanjay, how are you?
Wow, you make my head so big. Did not know you were going to say all that. I'm good. It feels so weird that it was in January that we did the first one. It feels like your podcast has been going on forever. No, but I'm good. Just back from London a couple of weeks ago, having done my show. I'm writing new stuff, developing my NTS show. It's that whole freelance life of just keep going. So many things on the go.
Yeah, I know that life. In fact, last time we spoke, you were just getting ready for your show in London, Love Me Like a Chai Tea Latte at the Vaults Festival. So now I can ask you how it went. How did it go?
Yeah, it went really well. I had 2 nights there. First night was a smaller audience and the tech went a bit weird. But second night, I had quite a few comedians in and I was actually really surprised. But because my show is all about like South Asia and LGBT culture and that, and the Vaults Festival was really big. But a couple of my friends who are comedians brought Cinder V to my show.
Oh, wow.
Which they asked me to keep it off social media, and I was like, cool. But hey, I'm telling you now. But I was really excited about that because like we had a real chat about my work and like how I got into it, and she was telling me about her journey and just like how she really enjoyed the show. And then she left, and I was like, did that really happen? And my agent was there, and she was like, yes, it did. I was like, oh wow. Cinder V came to my show, so yeah, got a selfie and everything, which I will send you afterwards because you know me, I love a good selfie. But no, it went really well. I'm really proud of it. Yeah, just now rolling the ball into the next steps, which Oh, might tell you more about later.
Excellent. Oh, I'm glad it went really well. That's fantastic news. So the last time we spoke, we were talking about the Traitors US. Now, without spoilers, I know this is difficult, but without spoilers, did you enjoy the rest of the season?
No, I got bored. I really got bored. Um, also, I find it a bit odd that I still meet the people that my friends that I've spoken to. We all find it a bit odd that even though like reality stars, in my opinion, aren't celebrities. Like to me, a celebrity is like Maggie Smith, Judi Dench, and that. It was different. I asked one of my old voice teachers, because someone asked about Alan Cummings' accent, and she was like, "Well, he comes from a part of Scotland where people do talk like that." Because the person who asked her was like, "Oh my God, is he putting in an accent?" And she was like, "No, that's actually how he speaks because that's not just the Glaswegian accent." Um, I loved his outfits, but no, I wasn't a fan. I just think it really muddies the water when you have people that already are known and have had money to when you put
Mm-hmm.
it with people that maybe don't have money. Oh, so hard not to spoil, but yeah, they had some big personalities that dominated from the minute it started, and
Yeah.
that kind of took away the fun. Whereas in the UK one, they built up the personalities, such as this episode we're going to talk about today. So it happened, the American one, but I wouldn't really watch it.
Okay.
I also fast forward a lot of the tasks because I saw them in the UK version.
I remember you told me this last time.
I was like, I don't have time to watch what people have already done.
Now, well, speaking of missions and tasks, last time you were here, we played our game on the podcast, The Trade Our Traitor, and we successfully betrayed one another because I believed that you had been to dinner with Whoopi Goldberg. I'm still quite upset that that wasn't true. Are you up for
It's a
another
dream.
game?
Oh yeah, okay, but I
Yeah.
struggle with these now because I was
I,
like pinnacle. So
We're
I'm
going to
not
give it
like,
another go. Our goal throughout the episode, then, from here on in, is to tell one lie to one another. The lie has to be a fabrication or a made up fact. It can't be a fake opinion, like saying you prefer one version of the traitors over the other, which you just have, because I'd have no real way of detecting whether that was true or not. At the end of the episode, we each have to put our traitor hunting skills to the test and decide what we thought the other person's lie was. Sanji, are you ready?
I'm never ready, but hey, let's do this.
As ready as you'll ever be.
Dun,
Our game begins now.
dun, dun,
And,
dun.
well, Sanji, I think we just have to go for it. It's time to talk about the infamous episode 4 of the Traitors UK. So the episode begins with a discussion amongst the traitors about who they're going to put on trial, and they're thinking about how is it going to make people behave, what repercussions will it have. Wilf suggests putting himself up on trial, but then they realise maybe that's not such a good idea, and it would be a really good way to frame someone else as a traitor. And they think, well, Ivan would be quite clever. If he was a traitor, he'd probably do something like that. What do you think? Do you think they should have put one of themselves up on trial here? Or did they make the right decision?
I think they did the right decision not to put any of that because Alyssa was already on people's radar, aka the couples. So I was like, "Girl, you're gonna go if you go up." Wilf, I love it. Maddie is on his back, and I was like, "If you put yourself up, Maddie's gonna have ammunition." Well, Amanda, I think this is early days for Amanda, though, so nobody suspects her.
Sanji, when you said Alyssa was on people's radar, did you mean to say she was on their radar? Because I'm all about branding my podcast. I think
on the trader.
that's the phrase you meant to use. By the way, I would like to point out again, I've only ever explained this once on the podcast. I didn't invent that phrase. It was a contestant on the Australian Traitors who came up with the term trader. So if somebody's on your radar because you think they're a traitor, they're on your trader. I'm just pointing that out. It is a thing. I didn't just make it up. I've just clung on to it, that's all.
There's an Australian version?
Oh, yeah. Sanji, we'll have to talk about that afterwards. The Australian one is fire. It is
Do
so
they
good.
have celebrities in that, though?
No,
that's good. I'll watch
it's more
it.
like the UK one. It's so
Okay.
good. So the traitors start to discuss who they're really going to go for this trial. They think Alex would be good because, well, the reason is that she's very quiet. I'm not totally sure why that's the reason for picking her. Other than that, maybe they think her being quiet means that she's a likely suspect for people, so this will put her under the spotlight. They decide that John would be a good idea because he won most faithful in the previous task. Also, kind of a weird reason. Amanda does say that he's cracking under the pressure. That's definitely true after the previous episode, hand and face to Aaron. Alyssa explains it a little bit better. She says, well, these are the people who are becoming a bit too confident, so this will remind them of who's in charge. So, she's enjoying the power, I think.
She ain't got time to be making those thoughts because people on her trader. But I find breakfast hilarious. I'm not going to lie. I thought this episode's breakfast was like a comedy show. Like when John's like, I've had enough, and he walks out, and you're like, oh, okay. And then Matt's crying, and then Aaron was crying, and then Ivan's crying. Hannah's like, fuck this. I was like, Oscars? And then John's like, yeah, you should have got an Oscar. You should have got an Oscar for that performance. And I was like, wow, they're really at each other's throats.
They are. Do you know what people are calling this episode online? It's earned a name for itself.
Breakfast Club.
Did you watch? Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
Oh, I've never watched an episode. I've been told there's a lot of booty in it, but no, I've not watched it.
This episode and this breakfast specifically has come to be known as the Red Breakfast because, as you just suggested, it's a hot mess. Chaos breaks loose. At breakfast, Alex and Tom are in the room first. And of course, they're a couple, so they have got a quick moment to discuss, have a wee kiss, discuss their thoughts. They right now are thinking Ivan and Hannah are the traitors. But before they can discuss it any further, Matt comes in. And that's awkward because, Matt's got no idea they're a couple. He sits down next to Alex and cozies up with her. Little does he know that she's sitting next to her actual boyfriend. By the time everybody else comes in, well, we're left with Andrea, John, and Amanda. They're the final three to enter. And when Andrea and John arrive, everyone thinks that Amanda's been murdered. Of course, they don't know there is no murder tonight. And Wolf and Alyssa, they have to go along with it. They've got to pretend that, oh, poor Amanda, she's gone. Until, of course, Amanda then walks in and they realise something's going on. Yes, God bless Amanda.
She came in with her little pigtails. I was like, oh, I love that. I don't want to notice that. She looked so perplexed. I was like, oh, you know what's going on. I love your acting. She's like, no one did. And it's like, no, you know that. But I love the way you still come in. It's great. Apologies, I can't do an accent.
Detective Maddie, she's still on Wilf. She's
goes right
going hardcore. She does, yeah. And like you said, then John is immediately very aggressive. He's pointing across the table at Aaron, saying, "You deserve," like you said, you deserve an Oscar for that performance. I don't know how he can be so sure. And if he thinks it was that great a performance, does he not also then think maybe there's a chance Aaron just was actually really upset? But he's taken no prisoners. Maddie joins in as well. I mean, I love Maddie, but this is a bit much, If Aaron was potentially really upset, they're going hardcore on him. I don't think they should push it that much. Another thing that happened is that when Amanda walked in, Ivan immediately jumps up and says, "Oh, there's been no murder, there's been a recruitment." So that makes me think the producers must have told them that was a possibility. If Ivan immediately comes to this idea that there's been a recruitment. And actually, Ivan is going to be a future guest on the podcast, so this is something that might come up and that I could ask him all about. Claudia comes in too to the Red Breakfast, wearing the chunky knit turtleneck that launched 1,000 memes. She explains the trial and announces that it's Ivan, Alex, and John who are going to be in trial. John immediately shouts out, "Well, no surprise there then."
Yeah, you're like, okay.
Yeah. Alex is pretty clever because she immediately asks, "Can a traitor be on trial?" So that's quite smart of her to figure out that that's a possibility. And Claudia says, "Yes, absolutely." Ivan then says, well, he's certain that one of the other two must be a traitor because he's not a traitor. And he gets really upset. From my understanding, there's a bit more to this than meets the eye. There's a lot more going on there with Ivan that's been cut out in the edit. But we might find out about that a little bit later on.
Ooh.
Alex then asks, well, what am I supposed to do now? If I'm on trial, how do I prove myself? which is a good question. You know, what are you meant to do if you're on trial? What does it really mean? And
You
then
do nothing.
you do nothing. And then John, like you've mentioned, this is his moment. He leaves the room. I would like to point out, if anyone listened to my last episode, I'm sure you did, John specifically said in the last episode to poor Aaron, you know, oh, getting emotional, walking out of the room, come on. And then John does the exact same thing
Yeah.
himself here. What a hypocrite.
Yeah, I find John really hilarious. I just find all the crying hilarious. We've not had the big moment yet, though, but that's what made me laugh. Is like we've not even hit the pinnacle of this breakfast yet, and they're
Yeah.
already crying. And Maddie makes me laugh because she's like, Amanda's not walked in yet. She's like, I think it's you, and if you go, then it's you. Then I know I'm right. So see, I'm right. And then Amanda walks, and she goes, and you can just see her brain going, "Am I right now? No, shouldn't be." And I really wish there were other people in the final.
Okay. Is that your spoiler-free comment?
Yeah, there's people that are in the final that I'm like, okay, yep, cool. Didn't expect you to be there. Okay, not who I thought. And then there were others I was like, oh, why are you not there? You should be there.
Okay. We'll say no more.
Dun dun dun.
At this point, Alex then starts to panic a bit and realizes, I think they put me on trial because they want me to speak up more. And that's exactly what the traitors implied. And this is the moment that I think you're referring to. Tom decides to take it upon himself to stand up, get everybody's attention, and tell everybody that he and Alex
She's my
are a
girlfriend.
couple. Everyone is gagged and gooped and scalped, including Matt. This seems to me like the worst idea ever. Tom says that their tactic when they came in was to split up and find traitors together. Sanji, was this a good idea of Tom to tell everybody this?
No, I think he really ruined his chances of going further in the game. But also, I'm sorry, but he kept saying, I'm a magician, I'm a magician. I'm sorry, stop throwing all magicians under the bus because no, not all magicians are like you. You're just there for the money. Yeah, he was like, I do this for a job, I do it for my career. Ivan, I love you, but you are a traitor. Alex is not a traitor. And I'm like, Eddie, how do you know?
That was quite a good Tom impression.
I just watched the episode again like half an hour ago. You know, like I'm being real with you. But I really felt bad for Alex because he had it was him who had the outburst, but she just sitting there going, "What?
Yeah.
I just wanted my sausage roll, but okay, here we are."
My favourite bit amongst all this chaos is that while everyone starts to get really upset and cry, Maddie in the background just turns to Matt and goes,
Matt, I thought she was going to go with you.
Get with Alex.
I literally wrote that down. It's my favourite. She's like, I thought you were getting with Alex.
I even like rewound it to like listen again
Just to watch it
because it
again.
made me laugh so much. The chaos keeps going. It just keeps snowballing. Tom points the finger at Ivan. All hell breaks loose. Man,
Even Hannah.
But yes, Detective Maddie, aka Maddie Marple, says you're barking up the wrong tree. Hannah and Wilf are up out their chairs. Tom's accusing Hannah. Hannah's screaming back. You know, the most unexpected person to try and calm it down is John. How ironic. John says time out. We've all gone from 0 to 1,000. I mean, he's right, but it's just funny that it's him who says this.
After he's just walking out.
Exactly. Alex tries to explain that they had the relationship because they knew that it would probably make them look suspicious, like they're in an alliance. Yes, Alex, and yes, Tom, and that's why you shouldn't have said anything, Tom. Matt gets really upset. He says that they've both lied, and he starts crying. And God love Faye and Aaron are so nice. They come over and they're trying to comfort him. I know. Amanda then puts on the performance of a lifetime. So she stands up, she takes charge.
What are we doing?
She's had enough of this shit. She says, we're never going to find them if we behave like this. Like it's like her life purpose to find the traitors. Cut to Amanda in her interview basically saying, this is perfect. I love this.
I'm so happy with this. But I just love that no one's clued onto her yet.
No. Well. Sanji, I've got some inside info for you, but I will keep that till later on.
In this episode, or do you mean I need to listen to your podcast for it?
You have to listen to every episode of my podcast from now on. So after the red breakfast, we start to hear some discussions around the house as we're kind of chilling out a little bit now. Hannah reckons, well, Alex and Tom have lied to us, so this is proof that they're really good at lying. I mean, she's not wrong. So all eyes
Yep.
are on Alex and Tom right now. They have Ivan, Hannah, and Alyssa on their radar. Alex and Tom then come into a room where several of the others are sitting. And Amanda's keeping the performance going. She's ready for her BAFTA at any moment. She stands up and says, I can't be in the same room as you, and leaves. Either she does really mean it, or I think she's just playing the role of innocent faithful very well.
Yeah, she's doing much better than Alyssa, I feel.
Yeah, Alyssa's starting to crumble, I think.
Yeah, she's not doing well.
No. Tom, like you said, then starts banging on about, he's one of the top magic creators in the world. He reads people for a living. I mean, I don't know about that. Although I went on Instagram. He's this, out of all the players, he's the second most followed out of all of them. He's got 42,000 followers on Instagram. Do you know guess who's above him?
Amanda.
No.
Andrea.
Who's a lovable character who's everybody's fave? Apart from Andrea, because Andrea.
Are you talking about in the show or in life?
In the show.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about yourself there. A lovable person, Ivan.
I thought this was an easy answer. Obviously not.
A lovable person, Faye. Matt.
Oh. Somebody in the Traitors.
Maddie.
Fucking hell.
Wait, I'm so confused. What's the question?
This has been the sweariest episode so far. Who do you think's got the most followers out of all the players on the Traitors UK?
Aaron.
Yes, there we go. Aaron. Everyone loves Aaron, but Tom is right under that, which I'm quite surprised at. Anyway,
but we all saw the comments on why people liked Aaron.
Well, of course, we're only human.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda points out to Tom that actually he's pretty terrible at being reading people for a living, because he's completely wrong, and he is completely wrong. Although he does then have a wee conversation with Alyssa, and he picks up on a bit of an eye twitch that she has when she says she's not a traitor. So maybe he's not totally terrible. However,
maybe she's just cold.
Maybe she's just cold.
They're in a castle and she's a bit like, ooh, I get a wee twitch when I'm cold.
It could be. True.
But then I got traitor vibes straight away when I saw it. I was like, girl, you just look uncomfortable around him.
Tom, after picking on Alyssa and making me think, oh, maybe he actually is quite good at reading people, then turns to Ivan and is convinced that Ivan is a traitor. So actually, no. Tom, you are just rubbish at this. Tom seems to be, he's just trying to manipulate everyone now, and he wants to guide their votes either towards Ivan or Hannah. That's his game plan from here on in. So we move on to your favourite part of the episode, the mission. We find out from Claudia that the 3 people on trial are going to be captains of teams. So each one of them picks some team members. There's some funny choices here. Ivan immediately puts his hand up and he picks Tom, which might seem odd, but he says he wants to keep him close and he wants to keep him away from Alex. Exactly. Alex picks Matt, probably out of guilt. John then picks Aaron to be in his team, which is quite weird as well, because there's been so much friction between them.
But part of me was thinking, is how much of these team makings do they have a say on?
Are you suggesting that there's been some sort of producer manipulation here?
Not even manipulation, but just some producers go, maybe you should have them, maybe you should have her, maybe think about mixing this up. Do you like them? I just like to know, do they actually? I think, because I've never been on a reality TV show or a game show, and I've always been intrigued by them. They kind of shows do they come up with it themselves, or did someone say to them, "Hey, why don't you take her?" So intrigue.
I liked your characterization of the producer there. It came with an accent and everything.
Yeah, I did. I know.
On the way to the mission, Ivan is very clever, and so much of his life revolves around gaming and gameplay, and he's an author and he writes about games. He figures out that this is going to be a sheep trial because he puts clues together. He figures out Claudia's wearing wool, I'm on trial, therefore it's a sheep trial. And he's right. then Tom is having this conversation that you were talking about. He's in the Jeep with Alyssa and Wilf and Andrea, and he says there's another traitor he hasn't named yet. I'm talking to them right now because I want them to go far. And Alyssa, you're right. Alyssa just sits in silence and doesn't say anything. He's clearly talking about her. I would have, if I was Alyssa, I would have played it totally dumb here and said, I would have said something like, "What are you talking about me? I thought you were kidding on." Like, I think she makes herself look worse by just not saying anything. Yeah. But hey,
can I just say though, to make you laugh, because I know when we spoke last time, I openly said I don't watch the trials, especially the Americans. I knew what they were doing. I actually did watch this one because it brought back memories for me, and I forgot this episode until you were like, "Hey, do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And when I was in first year, we went to the Great Highland or the Great Scottish Country Show or something. It was like a big farmers market, and we got to go around and like pet sheep and everything, and like watch the people like get them in. It's not easy. Like looking at them, they made it look easy on TV. But I remember I went to the Great Highland Show, the Great Highland West Show, West Highland Show. Basically, it was like a big farmers market in Scotland.
Something Scottishy and Highlandy.
Yeah, and like, just so this wee man was herp, try to get these sheep in, and then had a dog, and I was like, this is not going to work. And no, it didn't work. So when they did it in like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, I was like, this has been edited like The Apprentice. When they get that phone call at 4 a.m. when it's pitch dark outside, and then they're all fully dressed in 20 minutes, and it's pitch blue outside. Yeah.
Something not right.
But yeah, it made me nostalgic about petting sheep and me trying to do that when I was in first year at the age of 2005, would have been 12. Yeah.
This sheep mission is it's like classic BBC fluff. Yeah. Like we've gone from the sublime TV to the ridiculous. We had that red breakfast, and now we've got people chasing sheep around trying to describe them to one another. So the premise of the mission,
on it?
Yes, their own names on the sheep. They are in teams. They have to basically describe a sheep by looking at a photograph of it and making someone else find the sheep based on their descriptions. And then after the first round, some traitor sheep are added in with the most dramatic music I've ever heard. I'm seeing like a spin-off. I think there's going to be a spin-off show just based on the sheep. That'll be called like Lamb to the Traitor or something like that. And I also wondered, is it all a metaphor? Is this mission a metaphor for the way the contestants are behaving because they're acting like sheep? Or maybe I'm just thinking about it far more than the producers did.
Are you hungry?
I'm always hungry, Sanjay.
I thought that, just all the sheep chat, I'm like, he wants some lamb chops tonight.
I'm vegan, so that's not happening.
Okay, I take that back. Hey, vegan lamb chops, like those weird things you can get?
Now, my favourite description in this mission is when Theo describes one of the sheep as looking like it has contour. That really made me laugh. Ivan's team wins because Ivan is so good at games. And like you said, they then herd all the sheep in under 2 minutes and earn another £1,000 for it. So they, from this mission, have £8,000, which means in total the prize fund at this point is £39,700. Ryan and Ivan suggests that people are probably going to want to keep Ivan in and not murder him or banish him because he's really good at missions. I don't know if that plays into anyone's minds, really. I don't know if at the round table they're thinking about who they should keep in because they're good at missions. So I think that's maybe just wishful thinking.
I think, like I said before when I was last here, I find this show so interesting because for so many people it's like, oh my god, this is so new, but it's not new because I play this with young kids in my drama classes. I played this when I was a drama student, but it's so funny how the BBC have made it into a TV show and you see how heightened and stressed people get and you're like, wow. Because if we played this in drama school, oh my god, it'd be hilarious, but I would never go to the extent of this. And I love it when we get to the round table. Can we talk about the round table yet? No?
We're almost there. I love that you checked.
But yeah, I feel sorry for Ryan. I kind of feel like he's one of the people that goes under the radar until like the time comes for him at the round table.
Under the radar?
Under the radar. Sorry. Yeah, I feel like Ryan's under the radar. Um, yeah, I feel like when you look at these shows, though, you see who is the bigger personalities. They do get a lot more of the airtime.
Yeah,
Also, the traitors get a lot of airtime, but that's the name of the show.
yeah.
But yeah, I kind of felt bad for Ryan because I was like, "Who are you? You don't really see you much."
Yes.
I also think this is the first episode that you actually see them eat and you see them get food. Because when I watched the US version, I was like, they get food like that and big like metal containers. What's this? But this is the first one, and I loved it when Tom walks in. Amanda goes, "I can't listen to you. I don't want to talk to you. You've had the biggest lie." And then Tom goes, "But wait, can I speak?" And everybody's like, "All right, go." Like, yeah, that was the first time I've seen them eat food.
Again, I liked your Tom impression. I like your Amanda impression because it was so not Welsh that it
It's a
made
bit
it funny.
Indian. I make it sound Indian. I
After
would
the
also love to know, like, is Tom still working as a magician?
oh yeah,
I'd
yeah,
love,
that's why he's got
is
so many
he?
followers because he does lots of illusionist stuff and yeah.
But he didn't read people well. That's why I was like, you still working?
He didn't, but I guess it's different when you're on a stage and you've got an audience. It's not really the
Mm.
same environment, is it?
But yeah, that was my big shock of this episode, that people were eating in this episode and you saw it.
I love how that was your highlight.
It's food related. I love food. I'm just going to look at my notes. What else have I said? Oh yeah, this is maybe going back to the red breakfast that I totally forgot to say. But I found this hilarious when Tom was like, "Defend yourself, defend yourself," and it's like, why should they? Why are you getting so aggressive? It's only like 9 a.m. in the morning or
Yeah,
8 a.m. however early it is. Like, that made me laugh. How he's like proper like saying, "Defend yourself," and then there's Matt just like, "You lied to me." Like, yeah, that was a highlight of breakfast. Just Tom trying to defend yourself, and Hannah's like, "Why should I? I've got nothing to do.
hmm.
I've not done anything."
I'm not a morning person, so I would have been out the door for all that. I think, or just head down and in food, ignoring all of the nonsense.
I would have just kept eating my breakfast, having my orange juice, being like, oh, what's going on here?
So after the mission, there are some more discussions. Matt and Alex have a little heart to heart. Matt thinks
Very
that,
awkward.
he's been played. Alex says that her relationship with Tom was the only thing that she lied about and that everything else was true. And she wants to be friends with him outside of the program. Matt then says, "I love you to pieces and always will." I've talked about this before. It's quite strange how reality show contestants make these insane bonds so quickly. And in a
Well,
game
within
like
3 days.
this, it's pretty dangerous to do that in a game that's all about trust and betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
Tom still is trying to get everyone to vote for Ivan and Hannah, and he says in his
Yeah.
interview that he thinks Alyssa is a traitor, but he's not telling anyone that yet,
Mm.
even though he probably should. And Alyssa, she knows that Tom's onto her. After that conversation in the
Yeah.
Jeep, she understands what's happening here. So now,
Yeah.
Sanji, now we're moving on to the round table. So
Dun, dun, dun.
Tom has his little interview before he goes in, and he says basically he's going to do whatever he can here to protect himself and Alex. That's his mission. It seems a bit short sighted to me because, if he banishes somebody who's a faithful, which is possibly what's going to happen,
Mm.
he, how does that protect him and Alex going forward? I don't know. It seems like a bit of a short term plan. Ivan, in his interview, says he realizes that, lots of eyes on him. He's going to have to defend himself. Wilf, again, just looks ill. Now at the round tables, it's just Wilf sort of like shaking and nervous in a corner.
Just because he's like, Maddie's on to me. Yep.
Yes. Claudia talks to everybody. She says, "You've been with the sheep today. I wonder if there'll be a herd mentality tonight." So, my metaphor theory about the mission maybe wasn't so bad at all, by the way. Matt gets really upset again. He says that the way that everybody spoke to one another at breakfast was really horrible, that they really just need to be civil to one another tonight. Faye starts wondering why the three people who were put on trial were chosen as the three people. And Ivan at this point claims he knows Alex is a traitor. I mean, again, he's wrong. But he says that she's too quiet, unlike him and John, who are very open about what they think and they like discussing things. He says, Alex, too quiet, she's a traitor, he's convinced. Tom then is going on again about being a magician and reading people. He talks about this idea of overproof, and he says that when he says that when Ivan shouted at breakfast about there being a new traitor recruit, it was too quick, and that maybe that gave him away as a traitor. Again,
Maybe he
wrong.
got excited.
Maybe he was just excited. Exactly. He likes games. He likes to theorize about gameplay. Hannah then at this moment just shouts, "Vote me out! I can't listen to this anymore. She's had enough."
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
That was me. I'm with you, Hannah. I'm done. Let's vote Tom. But it's so interesting how then everybody did go on his side and then did follow what he was saying. I was like, wow, you really are like, ooh.
Yeah, it worked. Tom, he manages to get most of them onto his side, which Hannah's just raging about. She knows that he's trying to manipulate everybody when he was the one who revealed that he was lying this morning. So Hannah's just not here for it at all. Detective.
Also, I was just really surprised at who Alyssa voted for when she voted for Hannah. I was like, what? I was like,
I've got a theory about
given
that.
ammunition for others who are like, oh, it could be her. And I just love when Andrea was like, I voted Hannah because she wanted to go. Well, on you go then.
Detective Maddie, she's still going for wealth. She's got this same theory that he backstabbed Aaron, who's also a traitor, and that's why Aaron was upset last week. Although I don't know why she doesn't vote for Aaron, but hey. Alex says that some people are actually too quiet and that we need to hear from them, and it's kind of pointing towards Alyssa and Ryan. Alyssa defends herself. She just says that she's not a confrontational person. She is quite anxious and seems to kind of get away with that. Tom asks, well, does anyone else suspect Alyssa? No one does. And he says, well, I think we should just move on. So he's going to change his tune, because earlier on he was telling us he thought she was a traitor. Maybe it's just
he says as we interview, I want to keep her for soon later on. So I'm like, oh, you've got a game plan.
He does have a game
plan. But you
plan.
ain't going to last. Like after that breakfast, your days are numbered.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, in my future spoiler, I'm surprised at some people that make it to the end and some that don't.
Tom says then, we've agreed that one of you three is a traitor. I'm not sure why, although Detective Maddie does say, no, I don't agree with that. That was my accent. I hope you liked it. Tom also insists before the voting starts that they should vote Ivan out, and that if he's wrong, then the next round table they should vote him out, which he may live to regret. So the votes come in. It's 6 for Ivan, 6 for Alex, 1 for Wilf, because that was Detective Maddie, 2 for Hannah. Like you said, Alyssa voted for her. Andrea voted for her. I think Alyssa voted for Hannah because she was trying to get on Tom's good side. Because Tom
his other personality
suspects Hannah. Yes, so I think she's trying to sort of cozy up to Tom to get him off her case. That's my theory. What's really funny though is that there are no votes for Aaron after last week when he got so many votes. Now everybody's just completely turned off of him as a suspect, and it's an example
because of the mind work. Everybody's following. What do you call it?
Oh, Tom's what's the word I'm looking for? He's hypnotized everyone. I don't know. That's not the word I mean. But yeah, Tom's managed to get everybody on side, or half of everybody anyway. But it's an example of this thing called recency bias, where people seem to only base their decisions on the most recent evidence. In last week's episode, I was talking about this article by a journalist called Ian James Parsley, and he's written all about the traitors. And recency bias is one of the things that he brings up as really fascinating, that from day to day, people completely forget information and they just go with the most recent things that happened. And the article's saying that actually this is something that happens in sort of terms of like politics and voting and elections. And he's saying that the Traitors is a great sort of reflection of society in general. It's a really great article. The votes that have come in for Ivan seem to be because everyone thinks he's really clever. That's basically what Tom's managed to convince them of.
Yeah.
And because there are 6 votes for Ivan and 6 votes for Alex, we know that one of them is going to be banished. The deciding vote is Amanda, And the episode ends there. Sanjay, what were your overall thoughts of episode 4, aka The Red Breakfast? Do you agree it's a highlight of the series?
Oh yeah, because it really is a game changer, especially for the Traitors. Like, I think because they were all on one track, and I think if Tom didn't have his outburst of, sorry guys, Alex, she's my girlfriend, she's not a traitor, she's a faithful, I'm a faithful. If they didn't say that, I think everybody would have still been on Aaron and Wilf. I think they would have still had the eyes on them. It was a fun episode. I did love the task. I thought it was hilarious. And I think it was just nice seeing it evolve. And I think that was really fun.
What would your voting tactic be as a traitor at the round table? Would you, if you were a traitor sitting there, would you just vote with the crowd to blend in? Or would you try and lead everybody's vote in a particular way? Or would you do what Alyssa's done and just do your own thing and go for someone regardless of who everybody voted for?
I'd follow where the majority are going with.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to become too sus and people are like, oh, why is he going there? Mm-hmm. You want to go where someone's like, he's with us. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, actually, even as a faithful, you probably need to do that as well. Yeah. I think there's probably times as a faithful, Tom's kind of doing that because he suspects Alyssa, but he says, I'm just going to keep her for now. I think as a faithful, you probably have to not vote sometimes for who you actually think the traitor is because you don't want to single yourself out and look shady. So sometimes you probably just have to vote really tactically. Now, before we conclude our game and our episode, Sanjay, tell us a bit more about where we can find you online and what we should check out, or is there anything coming up we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, so you can find me on the Twitter or the Instagram at Sanjalago. And I'm actually going to be bringing my comedy show, Love Me Like a Chai Tea Latte, to Glasgow and Edinburgh. And hopefully I'd love to take it back to London. If anybody has any venues that would be up for having a wee 1 hour comedy. So I'm just developing that. Dates I'm not sure about, so keep an eye on my social media. But I'm quite excited about that because, the reception in London was quite good.
Would my living room count as a venue for just me and my friends?
If you pay me, yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool. It's £10 tickets.
Worth it. Worth every penny, I say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sanjay, it's time to conduct our own banishment. Ooh. Ah. Did you tell me a lie?
I panicked and I told you 2 lies.
Do you know I was going to ask, did you tell me more than 1 lie? I told you a lie. Do you want to guess mine first?
I don't write things down, you see. Is it something to do with the producers and something to do with Ivan? You're going to have a secret on, it was something you said around producers and that?
Nope.
Okay, no, I don't know.
Okay, do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
I lied when I said that Tom was the second most followed person on Instagram and that Aaron had more than him. Aaron does have more than him, but there's someone else who's got more followers than anyone else.
I thought that. I was like, Tom ain't going to have that many followers. He did not come across he has tons of followers.
Oh, Tom does. Tom has. That was true that Tom has 42,000 followers on Instagram. Aaron has a bit more. No, it's Alex. Alex has got 70-odd thousand followers.
Oh, she's an actress as well.
Yeah, so there you go. Your lie. Right. I think I do know what they both were, but one of them I've forgotten. I think one of them was really early on, and at the time I thought, oh, remember that. Of course I've now forgotten it. I think one of your lies was that you went on a school trip to the Highland Games to look at sheep.
It was a partial lie. I didn't hear them, but I saw them in the distance.
What, out the bus window in a field or something?
Yeah.
What was your other lie?
That Sindhu V came to my show.
I knew that's what it was as well. I was like, I think he's getting a lie in really early on, right at the start.
Like, I forgot how the game worked. I was like, oh, it needs to be during the episode when we talk about the episode. I just started right at the start. I mean, it's wishful thinking. I'd love to have it at my show.
Well,
But
one
no, she
day.
did not come to my show.
Well, this you're going to manifest it, and saying it on this podcast was the first step in your manifestation.
Yeah, and see, next time I come on here, I need to think about our lives. Can I come back for the finale episode? Can we get like a group of people and do a finale
A
episode?
group? That would be cool. Yeah.
Like
But
me, maybe a contestant, and another friend.
I do have somebody lined up for the finale, so we'll see how that all works out. But I'm glad that you said next time I'm on, like you're basically on the podcast right now, on record, offering yourself to be on the podcast again.
Yeah, I'm coming back.
Hooray! Sanjay, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. It's been lovely to talk to you again. Take
As always, I
care.
loved it.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Traidar listeners. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Sanjay and I. Go follow Sanjay on Twitter and Instagram at Sanjay Lago, and you can even find out more about his fabulous work in the world of theatre on his website at sanjaylago.co.uk. A reminder that if you want to put your questions to some of the faithfuls from the UK and US show, check out Twitter and Instagram to see which guests I have lined up for appearances on the podcast very soon, and send me your questions. You can get in touch on Twitter at the TraidarPod, or Instagram at the TraidarPodcast, or you can email the TraidarPodcast@gmail.com. I'll be back with episode 5 very soon, which includes a fab interview with a Traitors UK contestant. I can't wait for you to hear it. Until then, stay faithful.